Okay, have you ever done this? You make a big, ambitious plan. You tell yourself, all right, tomorrow I am going to start working out. Or maybe, tomorrow I will finally study for that exam. But then tomorrow arrives, and that fire, that motivation you had, poof, it's just gone. And you end up procrastinating, maybe scrolling on your phone, and putting it off. So what is going on here?
It's a feeling we all know, right? This vanishing act that motivation seems to pull. Well, the answer is hiding deep inside your brain, and the science behind it is actually way more surprising than you'd probably think. So, let's get into it.
You know, most of us think the formula for getting things done goes like this. First you feel motivated, and then you take action. Simple. But what neuroscience is showing us is that a lot of the time, the process works completely in reverse. The action has to come first, and that feeling of motivation, that comes after. It sounds like a small switch, but trust me, it changes everything.
So how is that even possible? Well, the secret lies with a tiny chemical messenger in our brain that has a huge job. Let's talk about the very surprising role of dopamine.
The second you start a task, and I mean even the absolute tiniest first step, your brain starts to release a little bit of dopamine. Now, this is the whole key. That chemical release is what actually engages your focus, it's what makes the task suddenly feel a little easier, and it's what creates that feeling we call motivation. This is exactly why just getting started is almost always the hardest part.
So what exactly is dopamine? Well, it's a neurotransmitter, basically a chemical messenger in the brain. And it's fundamentally tied to our sense of drive, our focus, our ability to look forward to rewards, and that desire to go after them. You could almost say it's the engine of our ambition.
Now, this is really important because we need to bust a huge myth. We always hear dopamine called the pleasure chemical, right? But that's not really accurate. Scientists now know it's much more about anticipation. It's the chemical that gets you excited about the possibility of a future reward.
Think of dopamine as your brain's own internal coach, and it's whispering this exact phrase. It's not about the pleasure you feel after you've achieved something, it's the drive that says, let's go get it. And that feeling, right there, that's motivation at its most basic biological level. Okay, so if our brains are wired with this incredible system, why do we lose motivation so easily? Well, it turns out our modern world has laid a very clever, very effective trap for our ancient brains.
Just think about it. We are literally surrounded by things that deliver instant, super easy dopamine hits. Every like you get on social media, every phone notification, every bite of junk food, every short video you swipe through, they all give our brain a quick, effortless little reward.
And here's the problem that creates. Our brain gets used to these easy, high-value rewards. So when it's faced with a long-term goal, like studying for weeks or getting fit over months, that delayed reward feels slow and just kind of lame in comparison. Your brain isn't broken. It's just picking the more efficient path to a reward that's right there.
And this is so important to understand. You are not lazy. Your brain is just doing what it evolved to do, save energy and find the quickest, most efficient reward it can. The issue is that our environment has changed dramatically, but our fundamental wiring hasn't.
So how do we get out of this trap? Well, the great news is that by understanding this system, we can actually hack it. We can intentionally create our own motivation through our actions. Let's look at how it's done.
It turns out one of the most powerful ways to trigger that dopamine system on purpose is by recognizing and tracking progress. When your brain sees that you are moving forward, even just a little bit, it releases dopamine as a reward for the effort. I mean, think about why video games are so ridiculously engaging. They are absolute masters of showing you progress. You're constantly seeing new levels, getting points, unlocking achievements, and finding rewards. Your brain loves this constant visible feedback loop, and it keeps you coming back for more.
So the trick is simple. We need to apply that exact same idea to our real-life goals. Make your progress visible. Use a habit tracker app, measure your improvement in a journal, and actually take a second to celebrate the small milestones. This makes the reward real and tangible for your brain.
So based on all this science, we can boil it down to 3 really powerful strategies to generate motivation whenever you want. Number 1, start small. 2, remove friction. And 3, control your dopamine sources.
First up, start small. A giant goal is intimidating, but a tiny little action lowers that initial wall of resistance. So don't tell yourself you have to study for 3 hours. Nope. Just commit to 5 minutes.
The magic is that once you start, that little bit of dopamine kicks in, and momentum starts to build all by itself.
Next, you want to remove friction. This is all about making your good habits as easy as possible to start. If you want to work out in the morning, lay out your clothes the night before. If you want to read more, just leave a book sitting right on your desk. Every tiny bit of effort you remove makes starting that much easier.
And finally, you have to manage the competition. If your brain is constantly flooded with easy dopamine from 100 distractions, your meaningful goals will always feel like a chore. Reducing things like mindless scrolling can help reset your system, making the rewards from actual work feel valuable and exciting again.
So if you take just one thing away today, please let it be this. Motivation isn't some magical force that you have to sit around and wait for. It's a biological process. It's a direct result of your actions, your progress, and your environment. It is something you actively create.
And that means you have the power to generate it whenever you need it. So I'll leave you with this question. To get that dopamine flowing and start building your own momentum,